Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's live broadcast. My name is May Doldelau, and we are going to interview Fran Ceasar from the Financial School of Spenders. And she's right here. She is tuning in from, you're in Texas, right? I'm
Yeah, I'm near
assuming.
Houston.
Okay. Okay.
Like
And we're,
somewhere.
yes, and we're here with Alicia Stringer as well. And a little bit about myself before we begin. My name again is May Doldelau. I have a blog, yesfinanciallyfree.com. Back in 2011, I had over $40,000 of credit card debts, line of credit debts, and I paid it all off by 2016. Then quit my job. December 23rd, 2016 was my last day. Started coaching clients to do what I did. Started buying property. Before I quit my job, I had never owned property. Didn't think I could ever own property. Then I bought my first in 2017 with my husband. 2018 bought our Airbnb business. 2019 sold the first one, bought this current three-bedroom condo in Waikiki. And this is where we live. And we have a one-bedroom down the street, which is an Airbnb business, which we own. And that's my story in a little nutshell. Started coaching clients to do what I did at Finance Freedom Mastermind Program. You could find all about that at yesfinanciallyfree.com. And it has a lot of great resources. I recommend you get on the email list. Go to the right side, put in your first name, email address, hit the red yes button, and get the free ebook, Working Parents Guide to Financial Freedom, sent directly to your inbox. Check your spam folder if you don't get it. And that's about it for my little intro of myself. Now we're going to talk about, we have Alicia. Alicia, why don't you introduce yourself really quick, and then we're going to introduce Fran and let her go, okay?
Alicia Stringer, your social media marketing expert here in Houston, and known May forever. And we are just keeping the flow of social media rolling, help other small business entrepreneurs grow their social media. And it's really interesting to see the new connections that I'm helped to bring them. I think that brings me joy to say, I put you all together and you didn't even realize it, just the like, yeah, she did my social media. So just finding these
Yes.
connections, just like these two as well, introducing them to each other brings joy to see how more relationships flourish. Thanks, May.
Yay, thank you.
Yay.
Okay, I want to introduce Fran. Fran, I met through Alicia, as she just said. She is a spending coach, which is so cool because I overspent. That was my whole story, right? I just said. So let's talk to Fran. Fran, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about where you're from and how you became a spending coach?
Yes. So, hi everybody. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Alicia, for connecting us. It was amazing. We just vibed and hit it off from our first conversation. So I'm happy to share all this information with you guys too. So I didn't even know there was a difference between spenders and savers. I just, was living my life and doing what I do, until I had this huge debt that I needed to pay off, and I couldn't really find help that made sense for the way I thought about money. So, little backstory, I was a medical doctor. I was the hospital doctor for like 15 years, which was fine. I made like a huge salary. So, they gave me lots of credit and lots of, I had the money to cover everything. And so, my thought was, just like everybody else in my family, I would just pay things over time. That was just kind of normal, what I thought was normal. You buy things, you pay for them over time. You got the money to pay for it, it's not a problem. So I had a lot of debt. I had a lot of payments, but it wasn't a problem because I had a job that paid well and I didn't ever think I was going to leave my job. So this is where we are, right? Until I had my twins. And then I was on maternity leave and I was like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to work these hours anymore. I want to be home with my babies. And how can I do that? So I started thinking about what I could do. And this was back in 2015, so early 2016. So working from home wasn't a big thing like it was after the pandemic. So I was just trying to figure out what I could do. And I wasn't sure, but what I knew for sure was that the one thing that would make it easier is if I didn't have a lot of payments. If I didn't have all of the bills that we were paying, then I could choose anything because we would just have to pay, the thing, grocery, gas, and housing. At that time, it was a mortgage. And so I was like, okay, well, while I'm trying to figure it out, let me just pay off this debt. And I had over $600,000 worth of debt. And like I said, my debt wasn't a problem. I wasn't stressed out by it. I just knew I needed to figure out how to pay it off. And I did. I just kind of sat down and tried all these different things and finally just developed a system that worked for me. And I paid off the debt in a year, which goes to show, how messy my money was. I didn't even know that I could just pay these things off right away. I was like paying for them over time. So that was the beginning. And then I paid off the debt and I was like, okay, great. The debt is paid off. Now what am I going to do? Right. And then people were like, wait, how'd you pay off that debt so fast? Like that was really fast. And I was like, oh, I just did this thing. I didn't think it was a big deal. And then I didn't think it would work for everyone, which I was right. It doesn't work for savers because it works for the way the spenders think. And so now that's what I do. I help spenders to become confident with their money, become savers and be able to like save like they never have before. And it's just been really beautiful. So that's my story. That's how I got here.
Okay. How did you pay off 600,000 in a year?
Yeah. So
That's
even
my
now,
question.
I know, I know. It was like at first, after like I used to be like, it was magic. Like, what even happened, right? But part of it was I didn't have like, I think somebody in the past asked me, did you have $600,000 like in a savings account and you just canceled out your debt? It wasn't that. I didn't have tons of savings. I probably had like 12,000. It was only because I didn't know it was there. Otherwise, I would have spent it. Um, but
Funny.
But I mean, I had all different kinds of debt. I didn't do any of the gimmicks that like what you see with like consolidation or negotiation. I didn't do any of that. I just paid it. And I think the biggest thing that helped me was I got clarity over what all I had, what all I owed. And then I just started to be strategic about it. I use a debt snowball. And I do teach people either snowball or avalanche, whatever it is, as long as you're laser focused, like be laser focused. And then I controlled my spending. So I was able to do some like I gamified the process. I got my kids involved. They were toddlers by that time because this was like 2018, 2019. So they're like 2, 3 years old. And I got my kids involved in it and I just made it fun because I realized I was like, this could be miserable or this could be fun and it could be part of our life. And I decided to make it fun because I don't like being miserable. And so I made it fun. And then like next thing I know, I was like, we're debt free. Like it was a shock to my system. My identity was like crashing into, like how you're like, okay, I'm paying off debt. And then one day, like I was sitting, this is the funniest thing. I had gotten all these checks um because I can't remember like I had a financial advisor and I had him like closing accounts and stuff like that and I had I just had all like there were also random checks which is a magical thing that happens um but I remember sitting at my desk and had all these checks in front of me and I took a picture of them because I was like nobody's going to believe me if I tell them all these like random magical checks just have shown up over the past 3 months and I remember the day when I put all the checks in my account. Of course, I took a screenshot of my account with all that money sitting in there because it wasn't going to last long. And then I was ready to pay off the debts. And I was so like frozen and confused. Like I couldn't even figure out how I was going to do it. I was like I was Googling like the addresses of the creditors because I was going to like write checks and like send them in the mail. And I just couldn't even figure. And my friend called. I had a friend who had known about like what I was doing the whole time. And he called at the time and he was like, what are you doing? And he never calls me. So I'm like, that was a God thing, right? He was like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm just so frustrated. Like I'm overwhelmed. I can actually pay off my debt, but I can't figure out how to do it. And he was like, do you usually pay online? And I was like, yes. And he goes, can't you just like click and like pay it all online? And it didn't even occur to me to pay it online. I was trying to like send it through the mail. Like that's how discombobulating it was. And I think without having like someone to hold your hand and to help you every step of the way, it feels overwhelming. It feels impossible. You could have the money right in front of you and it feels impossible to like actually pay your debt. You'll sit there and think, well, maybe I won't pay it now. Maybe I'll just like use the money to do something else. I'll pay it later. It was crazy, but it was a lot of like you take one step and then God takes 10 steps. And so opportunities came and different accounts I had forgotten I had. Because I had a plan, my nervous system was relaxed in the beginning, and I would just like wake up in the middle of the night and be like, wait, don't I have such and such account from where I used to work at this place, or I lived in a different state and I had a bank account that I forgot about. Like it was just crazy magical. And so now when I help people, that happens to them too. So I'm like, I know it's not just me. Like we'll have our initial session and then I'll be like, you won't believe it. I have this business account I totally forgot about. And they'll go get the money from there. So it's just I can't even explain it. It was magic.
Wow, that's cool. I'm so glad you said this because when I first talked to you, I didn't learn any of this. This is fun. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
I was wondering, I'm like, she has an MD, you know? So I'm like, she has an MD. Like, what does that mean? Now I
Yeah.
understand. Okay,
Oh yeah.
cool. So you actually didn't go back after maternity leave? You just didn't
No,
go
I
back?
did. I did
Oh,
go
you
back
did go back.
for a
Okay.
few years. Yeah, I went back.
That I see.
I went back for
And
3 years
you
in the
hated,
hospital, and then I moved to an outpatient job because I was so burned out. And so I worked a
okay.
different job that was really soul fulfilling, and then I quit. I quit
Okay,
during the pandemic. So
so you quit after you paid off the debt? Is that when you
yeah,
quit? Okay, got it. Got it.
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I was like,
Yeah, about a year after. So I paid off the debt and then I worked and I saved like all the money I was paying towards that. I like saved a whole bunch. And then I quit the following year during the pandemic. So I had like a good little savings. I'm still like, I just stopped living off my savings.
wow, you quit during the
Mhm.
pandemic. That
Mhm.
was very fortunate for you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The timing was really good. Yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. That was so interesting. Alicia, if you have any questions, throw them at her, you know. I'm just like, wow, this is cool, you know. So, I noticed when I work with clients, oh, she unmuted. Go, Alicia. Go ahead. Do your thing.
Well, I just am on awed and how creative and strategic she is with, she has a book and how she's able to just create all this new income stream all on her own. And so that's a testament to anybody that just thinks they're totally stuck in what they have been done because she was a nurse or and or a doctor whatever in the field with all this expertise and then do totally something different. You have skills in other places that you have. And that's where I was just like, oh, don't think you're
Yeah.
just stuck in one lane. There's so many options for people and with so many different skills that they can do whatever they put their mind to and go for it. So just
Yeah,
anything
I
is
agree.
possible. Magic, right?
You have a book. What's the book?
It's a workbook. So
Okay.
when I decided, like when I was trying to figure out how I pay off my debt, and I just kind of wiped the slate clean because all the conventional things weren't working for me, I like organized my bills in a different way. And so in 2021, I had somebody like pretty it up and publish it for me. The only limitation to my workbook is that if you're a spender and you're having a hard time looking at your money, you're not going to open the workbook either. And so that's what I found. Like people will buy the book and think like, oh, okay, that's all I have to do. And it's like, no, the hard part is sitting down to open the book. And so that's where the coaching comes in. And so I hate that about it because I see so many people who are like, oh, I've had your book for a year. I've never opened it. And I'm like, you gotta come. Like part of getting the book is like you can come to the free sessions and all that. And I'm like, you gotta come actually decide to sit down and do it. So that's not like the end all be all.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
but if you're a spender, I spent the money, right? I feel
Yeah,
good, right?
yeah, that's the fun part. Like you've done the fun part, but then like the hard part is like, yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny. Okay, cool. So I just wanted to ask, oh, I was gonna say something too. I noticed that when I work with people, they do find money they didn't know was there.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Right?
they don't usually if they're not doing well with their money, they're not looking at it, right? And then there's so much stuff we do over our lifetimes. And I've had many people who are like, oh, I have this CD. Oh, my grandma gave me all these savings bonds.
Exactly.
Or like there's all these hidden accounts that from
Yep.
their view, they're not hidden, but they're like, oh, I have this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
You're like,
That's
you have more
exactly
than
what
you
happened.
think you do. A lot of people really put themselves down thinking they don't have any money, but they have way more money than they thought they had. So
Exactly.
I totally get that. That's so true, right?
Yeah.
They seem to get very I don't know what the word is, myopic or something. You just
Hmm.
focus on like the lack and then you think you don't have anything. And then when you like
Hmm.
actually look at what you have, you're like, wait,
Yeah.
I might lack here, but I have stuff here. We're balanced
Yeah.
people. We're not just this,
Yeah.
you know.
And the one thing
Anyway.
that we do too, when we feel like we're not good with money, we'll have these bursts of like decisions where we're like, oh, I'm going to invest in Acorn or whatever. And then we like start this thing, but then we lose interest or we forget about it. And then we go on about our business. So we have money like stashed in all these pockets where we had this idea of like, I should be investing. I'll put in Robinhood. And then like we'll forget. And then we're like, oh, I'm so bad at money. Oh, I'll do this. And then next thing you know, you sit down and you talk with me, we make a plan or they talk to you. And then it's like, they get calm and their brain actually like allows them to realize that, oh, don't forget about this, this, and this. And then they go look for it. And then it's like, that's a huge chunk. You could knock out like 5 debts in the first month if you just like are calm enough to remember where you stashed all this money and hid it from yourself. So it's like that happens all
Yes,
the time.
that would
Yeah.
make sense. And since you were a doctor and you had such a big income, I could see you having more of that out there because you
Hmm.
had so much money. You were probably like,
As putting it everywhere. And
yeah,
then
I
I
could see
also
that.
had, yeah, I also had from a mindset point of view, I was living in a home, like we had bought a home, but we had the home that we had previously bought and we were renting it out. And this is just from probably like a law of attraction kind of mindset point of view where something's right in front of your face, but you don't realize it. Like you can't see it until you shift your mindset. So this home, it was getting older and all this stuff. And the guy who had been renting it the whole time had been asking me over the years to buy it. And I was like, no, 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 no. I thought my mindset was that my husband was in medical school at the time. And I thought, okay, when he's finished, we're going to move back to that house. I'm going to go back to my old job. We're going to live back in our old neighborhood. Like I was just holding on to the past. And then something hit me one day and it was like, your blessings are not in the past. Like they're in the future. Your life is moving forward, not backwards. You're not going to move back, go to your old job, do the old things. And so I was finally able to like see that this guy wanted to buy the house. And so I sold the house to him. And so that was a huge, big thing that was off.
Right. That's a big one.
That's a big
Could you-
one. And
So,
so,
did you have a mortgage on it? Was there a mortgage on the house? Okay, okay,
yeah, so
got
we
it.
had 2 mortgages. We had 2 car notes. I paid off my car. Like it was
Okay.
just, it was just clarity, I think. And it's not, when people are talking about like having big debts, which not a whole lot of people have a lot more debt than me at the time, but which is which is why I think they're encouraged to talk to me because I don't judge anybody's debt. I'm just like, no, we can, that's nothing compared to what I had. Plus, we can knock it off really quickly because it's not always how much money you make. It's like really what your thought process is. If your kids are like in, Montessori school or private school or something, like, why is that? Why is that important to you? Is it for your kids or is it for what your parents taught you? Or is it for who your identity as a Montessori mom? Like all these kinds of things, and like just examining what your decisions are, and that will help to you can strategically move your money to the places where it actually means something to you, and then you get out of debt really quickly.
Wow.
May make
So
sense.
the
Very much.
600,000 was that including 2 mortgages, 2 car
Mhm.
notes, and then a bunch of other debt on top of that?
IRS debt, credit cards,
IRS debt.
personal
Holy
loan,
cow.
IRS
Student
debt.
loan.
Yeah, it was like $35,000 IRS debt. I can't
Wow.
even remember now. Oh, I know what that was. So I used to try to do my own taxes. Bad idea. I like checked the wrong box. I'll tell you that the tax guy in Austin was like my best friend because he audited us. And I was like, thank you, please, because I knew what we would get money back because I knew I had done something wrong. And so he was like, don't worry, we'll
Oh,
figure it
yeah.
out. IRS people are
Yeah.
so nice sometimes. Like we think that they're the devil, but
No, yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
yeah, if you approach them the right way, they're like, oh, don't worry. And that was like such a huge comfort when I was going through that whole process. And I knew I was going to get the money back. So his name was Javier. I used to call him my BFF Javi. And so I would call him and stuff, and he was all stressed out because of the pandemic. And it was just, it was so funny. Wait, was it? No, it wasn't pandemic at that time. I can't remember now. It was like 2019. He was stressed out for something. Anyway, I'll remember it later. But I used to always
Yeah.
like, communicate with him. And a lot of times with our creditors, we just have to communicate. And they're people too. And so we get to see their humanity, they see our humanity, and they actually help us. So that was
Yeah,
really
no,
good.
I know. I talked to the bank that we pay. We have two mortgages, but one is a business, so it's different.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, they're so nice to me all the time. Like
Mhm.
all of them. I call them like, can I come in? It's due like that day, or they're like, sure, come on in, and
Yeah.
they give my son like candy while we're waiting. They're so nice.
Yes, they're so nice.
They're always nice. I'm like,
Yeah.
of course they're gonna be nice at paying them, but still, everyone's always.
They're nice,
And the
right? But
IRS, I've worked with the IRS and
Mm,
they've been very helpful.
yes,
So, I mean, it's
I
hard,
think,
I can't get them on the phone, but when I see them, they help me.
yeah, yeah. I think as spenders, we're used to people judging and like feeling guilty and shameful. And so we always assume that the other people are like pointing a finger, well, how did you do this? You did this, you got into this mess. And really people are just they'll want to help if you ask them. So that's really good.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, that remind taxes is the biggest expense for people, especially high income earners, right?
Hmm.
Like doctors.
Hmm.
That's like a
Yeah.
huge expense. So if you master that, yeah, I could see you getting tons of money back just by figuring
Hmm.
out tax stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
I had did something wrong. So now I'm not allowed to do it by myself anymore.
that's a good thing though. Who wants to do I
Yeah,
mean, I do my
no,
own taxes and it's not my
no.
favorite thing, but I mean, I'd rather have someone do it
It's like leave it
too.
to an expert. I can't do that. Yeah.
Okay, so what does a spending coach do with their clients?
So
What
I
do you
have
do with
a
your clients?
Yeah, I have a program, and that is it's a group program, so it has recorded modules, so it kind of walks them through step by step. I always do the baby, let's just go little by little, baby step. Just do this one thing this week. Next week we'll do something else because I don't want to overload them. And that one is pretty standardized, so it tells you what to do when you sit down to work on your money. And then when I work with private clients, that is mostly like, let's see where you are and what your goals are. And then I help them go step by step towards their goals. So that one is a little bit like it's always going to be a different path because it's different goals. But the major steps are you first got to get organized because everybody comes disorganized and anxious because they feel like they're behind and they feel like they should be in this different place. And they don't know where anything is or how much debt they actually have. And so we just get that all cleared up. We just get it all organized. And then we running in the background of all the mindset work is this every week routine where you sit down and look at your money for an hour. Not only like stare at your bank statement, but I mean like do your tracking every single week. And we do it as a group
Mhm.
so that it's easier to stick to this, the accountability piece. So we sit down, we work on our money all together. I still do mine during that hour too, because I still got to do mine, right? And that helps to reinforce that this is a routine. It's not a project. Because I think a lot of times people have it in their mind. They have set it and forget it, one and done kind of thing. It's like, nope, this is more like the laundry where it's always going to be something to do. Every week there's something to work on. That helps with the mindset too, because their expectation is not that like, oh man, I got to sit here. Oh, look what I did. Oh, I got double charged. Oh, I overdrafted or whatever it is. It's like, yeah, that's life. Like it's a routine. Things are going to happen. Um, because most people kind of think about money as like a project, like you're painting the room. There's a start date. We get all the materials, we do the thing, and now it's done. And that's how we end up with the start, stop kind of money management, where it's like, oh, I put all the money in Robinhood and then I walked away. It's like, no, 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 like, that's not, you got to keep, paying attention. So we kind of help them get used to having that routine and making that a habit in their life. And And then I just handle whatever mindset stuff comes up along the way. Lots of drama comes up. Um, it's it's varied, but it's the same. I don't know how to explain that. Like your subconscious mind, we call her the diva. And she has about like 9 or 10 different ways that she can sabotage your dreams. And they just show up in different disguises, but it's the same 9 or 10 things. And so when I have a room full of ladies and they're talking about what's stopping them, it's always the same 9 or 10 things. They just show up in different ways. And so when I'm able to show them like, hey, this pattern, and then they're like, oh, and then it takes the mystery out of it. It's like, yep, I'm doing that again. I get it, you know. And it takes the mystery out, and then you're able to keep moving forward.
Okay, so like give us an example.
Sure. Um, so when we talk about like the tools of the diva, she has varied patterns, like I said, like the 9 or 10. And then when it comes to spenders in particular, I have toxic spending patterns, which I show them. Because you can have a spending pattern and that's fine, but if it's toxic, it's a problem. So we have 4 toxic spending patterns. But then, like I said, the tools of the diva are things like all or nothing thinking, where you're like, I have to sit down and look at all my finances. It's going to take me 16 hours. I'm going to do the whole thing, or I'm not going to do anything. And so I have to show them like, no, it's an hour a week. If you don't finish, that's okay. Just work for an hour, 2 hours max. Next week, you're going to do a chip away at a little bit more. And eventually you're going to get faster. And eventually it's only going to take you 30 minutes because you're only going to be tracking your previous week, and you can open the mail, you can make phone calls, like all the other money stuff, things that you wouldn't do if it wasn't a fence around your time. And you can get faster. So those are things, that's something that like people tell themselves and it stops them. Like, and they wouldn't say like, oh, I'm having all or nothing thinking, right? They're just saying stuff like, well, I don't have time. How much time do you think it'll take? Oh man, I mean, I have a box full of mail in the laundry room. It's going to take me like 18 days to open all that up. But what if you just took an hour a week and you just open as much as you can open in an hour, right? And so then we break it down. So it's stuff like that. And those kinds of issues pop up all the time.
I see. That's cool. That's a good one. All or nothing. I love that. Never thought of it
Mhm.
that way. That's so cool. Okay, so you have 2 programs I'm hearing. One is for private clients and one is more of a standardized. Like you could just go in and do an online thing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so it's the easiest way to explain it. I have one program. And
Okay.
in that I know I have one program. There are 2 ways you can enter.
Okay, got it.
So
Got
I have
it.
one
Yeah.
program and it has it's a recorded course. It drips out to you that you can just focus on one thing at a time. We have a group session. We have a group accountability session. So there's mindset and then there's accountability where we're actually working on the money. We have a Facebook group and I give them a spreadsheet that does all the math for them. So all they have to do is plug in their transactions, basically like balancing a checkbook. They don't have to balance it though. They just have to enter in the expenses and the transactions, and then it does all the work for them. And you get all of that. Now you can be in the group and have all of that, or you can be a private client and you have all of that, including the group, plus an hour a week to meet with me one-on-one. If you
Oh,
just choose the group, you still get an hour a month for 30 minutes. And that's because I like to make sure people are on track. If they have any questions privately, something they didn't want to say in a group, whatever. So we still do touching base, but everybody gets all of that stuff. But if you're a private client, you also get the hour a week.
got it. Got it. Okay. Got it. Thank you for clarifying. All right. So if they want to find you, how do they find you?
So you can find me on Instagram and Facebook. Um, I guess Instagram's the easiest way. If you take the spenders quiz, you get put on the mailing list and I reach out to you personally, to see where you are, how I can help you. But that spenders quiz will help you identify what your toxic spending patterns are. And you'll be able to see like, okay, this is where I'm starting from. This is kind of like where I need help with. Um, But anybody who ends up on the list, you get a reach out. We reach out to you. And then we have every other month we do a workshop, and the next one's in December. It's going to be like on holiday spending and holiday budgeting, which we don't typically
Nice.
budget. I know. Yeah, but I just like to get people in rooms and like talk to, because sometimes, when you're not like, it feels like you're kind of far removed if you're just kind of reading something or you're watching a video. But I like to get people like come into the room. You can meet the other ladies in the money squad. You can ask them questions, and we just have a good time. So I love workshops. So we're doing workshops every other month now.
So what are you in Instagram? We just do your whole name?
It's 1 million spenders.
Oh, Cease.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
1 million spenders. All
Yes.
right. Let's be specific here.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, got it. All right. So let's see. I've got some more questions here. What are the most common issues that you deal with? I don't know if you touched on it already, all or nothing, but is there anything
Hmm.
else you want to add?
Um, I think that is a big one, especially for the people I serve who are like high achieving women. Um, but also I think like just the hidden motivations, the reason that they're spending and they don't even realize that it's a thing, being able to uncover those. Whether like some people have debt, some people don't have debt, but they all have kind of like these hidden motivations for why they're spending, that once we bring them to light, it changes everything. Also, I think, people don't really say a lot of things out loud. And so to be able to say something out loud to someone, it's so powerful, right? Like just to be able to like say it, get it off your chest. It's been rolling around in your head, but once you say it out loud, it becomes real. And then all of a sudden you can do something about it. So I think that's the power of being coached too.
Okay, so one of the most common problems is people haven't said out loud their problems. Is that
Yep. Both,
okay?
yeah, both their problems or
Okay.
their goals too, right? Do you ever get
Okay.
that when you're talking to people and you're like, okay, well, how much do you want to save? And it's like stuck. They can't even like say how much their savings goal is because they never said it out loud to another human being.
Well, I have people who never thought about saving. Like I was that way. I never had a savings goal for like a long time. It didn't even
Yeah.
occur to me actually to save money.
Yep.
I don't know why it never occurred to me. I just never, I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
saving? Oh, I could do that, I guess.
Yeah. I think we feel like it's automatic, like it's just gonna happen, It's
Oh,
like,
for me, I was oblivious. I was
mhm.
completely oblivious. This is not even like I didn't even think about it at all,
Yeah.
honestly. Alicia, did you think about saving at all? I mean,
Yeah, I did when I was little. And then
okay.
I feel like it changed when I went to college and didn't have enough for savings or whatever. And then it just kind of stopped. And then I met May. She's like, you have to start saving now. I don't care if you can't pay all your bills, you're saving something.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
made her save. I'm like, you have to save. It
You
doesn't
have to
matter.
save.
Save
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started really low, didn't I?
Yes. She
It adds
started at
up.
0.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
But
I
you know,
was
that's,
like I said, I was like, I don't know, saving. What? I was like so
yeah. Yeah. So we had this issue come up last week in our group, that all or nothing thinking is why people don't start saving. Because they feel like, oh, I have to have like $5,000 to throw somewhere and save. And it's like, so we started this challenge. It's whatever week it is, you save that amount. And so last week they started. So it was like week 1, you save $1. Week 2, you save $2, right? And the whole point was just to prove to them that little amounts add up, and to break that all or nothing pattern. It's like I either save it all right now, I have to put $50,000, or like I'm not putting anything. And then that not putting anything will go for decades. And it's just like, why didn't you say, well, I never
yeah.
ever got to the 50,000. Well, you have to save the 50,000 to get, you know. And so we're just doing we just do game, it's very gamified to make it fun. So that's the
That's
little
cool.
game of right now. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, I highly recommend saving, obviously.
Yeah.
But I just realized you gave me an aha here because I teach people how to make passive income, right? Because then it offsets. So then you can obviously have income coming in. You won't be so stressed out, right? And then you can have other choices in your life. And I noticed some people don't want to do it because they know in the beginning it won't be enough to pay their whole they won't be free immediately, right?
Yeah.
Because it might make you only like $10 a month. Like, oh, that's not worth my time. But I mean, if you do it, every month it's going to increase by $10 over time. You're like, holy, and it's going to
Yeah.
snowball after a while,
Yeah.
obviously, because, you know,
Yeah.
if you start, but when you start, you don't know, right? And
Right.
it's that I just realized it's that all or none thing that you just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought of it that way, but
Yeah.
people they won't start. It's like,
Mm-hmm. They
and
won't
it's
start.
like you
Yeah.
won't understand. It makes a difference, but people are like, but it's not enough. I need
Yeah.
30,000. I don't need $10. Like
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. We all do that. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of ways that our mind kind of tricks us, but it feels like there's a whole lot of ways. One of these days I'm gonna write down like all of them because I promise there's less than
Yes,
10. I'm
please.
gonna
Yes,
write down
please.
all of them because I'm like,
This is a
it's
good
the
lead
same
magnet for
thing.
you.
Yeah,
She has
exactly.
another book coming.
It's a very good lead magnet for
Another
you.
book
Because
is
if you
coming.
wrote that up, I would look at it, get this free book and all the ways your mind tricks you into not, and I'm like,
Yes.
I'll get that ebook,
Yes. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of ways, and they're not complicated. I think that's like my gift is pattern recognition. That's the only thing I loved about medicine. One of the only things I like talking to people
Yeah.
too. Like, one of the things when I was deciding to leave medicine, I was like, what is it that I like about this that I would want to take forward? And one of them was talking to people because my nurses would always like, we would sit for hours and they would just tell me things and I like coaching through it, but I didn't know I was coaching. So that was one thing. The other thing was the patterns, right? Diseases have patterns, normal versus abnormal. I could always see the pattern and be like, let's check this because I think you have that. We would check it, and make the diagnosis. And so it's the same thing. You just see if somebody's telling you what they're doing and you're like, there's only like 9 diseases out there from your mind, right? And it's like, okay, that's this one. And when you explain it to them, they're like, oh my gosh, that again, and it just keeps coming up over and over again. And
Good stuff.
this other thing is fascinating is what we call the spiral staircase. Because sometimes people get frustrated, they feel like they're in the same place. Like, I can't believe I'm back here again. And it's like
Oh,
you're just
I know
going,
that one.
yeah. And it's like you're here, but you're here with so much more information and so much more
Yes.
power than you were before.
Yes.
And
Yes.
people, when they tend to have a pattern, that pattern still repeats, but it looks differently. So they keep thinking, and it's just like that may just be your mission in life is to overcome this pattern. It's fascinating.
That's cool. All right. I love this. The pathologies of spending too much. Can you share some success stories?
Hmm. Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna call her my chief technology officer because that is what she is. Um, I don't think she would mind me sharing about her life. So the person who's helping me in my business now, she's brilliant, always has been, has a variety of experience in all these different industries, lots of online work, just amazing. But some years back, she had like a bad breakup, just the perfect storm of crazy stuff happened and just really deep depression. And I had met her in a group, and some years later, she was like living in her pickup truck in San Diego, just like on the beaches, different campgrounds and different things, which sometimes when you have like 2 little kids, that feels like amazing. It's just like you're so free. But for her, it wasn't what she wanted. And she was just feeling really down. And so we were coaching together and lots of stuff coming up, lots of, just being able to talk things through. And now she's doing work again. She's helping me and she lives all over the world. She's in Bulgaria right now. She's about to do a European tour. She's been all over the world and her confidence is just it's skyrocketed. Like she's a totally different person. She's kind of like who she was before, but better because she has so much confidence. And I remember that we would do our group accountability sessions where everybody's working on their spreadsheet and we're muted but we have our cameras on and she'd be in the back of her pickup truck, right, because that's where she lived and that's where her laptop was, and so she'd be like doing her money dates from the truck or outside, sitting on the grass, like, and she was just putting in the work, putting in the work, putting in the work. And now she's debt free and she's traveling and she's making money and her life is completely changed. And I love telling her story because it's such a dramatic difference in what was going on. But it shows that, like, your circumstances are not who you are. It's just the things that are happening to you. And those will change very quickly if you just start small, not all or nothing, and just keep putting in the work. So I love that with her.
Wow. That's a big story. It was debt. She had a lot of debt. And then
Yeah,
that's why she was living in a pickup truck. Is that what was going on here?
she had debt and she was not able to get a place, like rent a place to live. She was going
Okay.
like on multiple, going to look at different apartments. Nothing was ever working out. There'd be like scammy stuff going on. It's a high cost of living area. It was just one thing after another, but really we had to talk about her mindset because going on these different interviews, she was taking the mindset of, you know, all the stuff that was happening with her. And so once we really talked about everything, she didn't even want to live there. And
Yeah,
that's
she
when
didn't
she
want to live in
started,
San
you
Diego,
know,
right?
no, she didn't
Yeah,
want to live there. She like moved to Spain.
yeah.
And yeah, it was crazy. So she
That's
wanted to
good.
travel
Okay.
more. So
I
mhm.
see. Yeah, because I'm like, it doesn't necessarily mean money that she's in a pickup truck. So that's why I wanted to clarify. Because I was like, I'm sure it wasn't only money. I'm sure that was the whole root of her money situation. She didn't even want to
Yeah,
live there or all other kinds of things. But I was just
yeah.
wondering,
Hmm.
wow, that's cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember when I was really down and I did a yoga class and I did it every week. And every week that yoga teacher would say so many nice things, right? Love yourself and all this. And then I broke out of this really bad relationship and I was just like, and it's just a weekly thing which is positive for you can really change your entire life, like your
Yeah,
entire.
it
And it's like,
could.
and it was the yoga. It was just yoga,
Yeah,
Love
no, it's a big
yourself,
deal.
be loving to yourself. And I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
can? Oh my God.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
like,
big
oh,
deal.
oh my God. So
Yeah, I think
I
when
take
we were
that.
kids, we had more opportunity to get those kinds of affirmations. Like people were, if you didn't get it at home, there was maybe one teacher at school to be like, "Oh, you're so good, you're so smart," or something that would keep you going. Or maybe it was church or something. But now that we're the grown-ups, like nobody ever pats you on the back and says, "Good job, May. Good job, Elise. That was so great. Did you draw this yourself?" It's
Did
just
you draw this yourself? I love
we
that.
need that. Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had a personal spending weakness. It was on courses and education, right? So
Hmm.
that was my little prep thing. I actually spent over $30,000 on personal development courses, other kind of educational courses, traveling to educational courses, buying the products from these seminars. And that was one of the things that got me a lot of debt. And so I don't know. Do you have any advice for someone who has like a spending weakness like that? Maybe they spend a lot on education or programs or whatever. It
Yeah.
probably translates to any kind of spending, but
Yeah. Yeah. It could. So we do talk about the four toxic spending patterns, and usually when someone's buying like courses or getting certifications or maybe going back for another degree, I don't know, you may fall in the category of being a seeker. And a seeker is someone who is looking for like perfection. Like they're gonna keep going until they find the thing, that missing piece. It's like, oh, but one more thing. Oh, but one more thing, right? And they just want everything to be like as good as it could possibly be, which is fine. It's okay unless it impacts what your goals are, your savings goal. Like you say, you don't want to have debt and then you ended up there because of this, like, oh, one more thing kind of mentality. So, what we do is once we identify, oh, that's seeker behavior, right? Like you're being a seeker. It's not your identity. That's not who you are, but that's what you're doing. Then we decide, what is the itch that you're trying to scratch? You're trying to feel like, you've achieved some state of enlightenment, or you feel ready enough to teach others, or ready, like maybe it's how can I coach other people when I still have this problem in my life? Oh, let me go fix that and then I'll be ready. And so once we identify it, then we're able to say, okay, why aren't you ready now? And then you can kind of talk through and find, okay, well, this is why I don't feel ready now. And so it kind of just goes deeper from that because everybody has a different reason why they don't feel
Right,
ready
I'm
now.
sure.
Yeah.
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 Cool. Yeah, that was my big one. Like even
Um,
today I get stressed out when people ask me to join a course. I'm like,
yeah.
because I cold turkeyed it, I just cold turkeyed. I just
Yeah.
stopped. And I was
Yeah.
like, nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, So,
Yeah, I joined a lot of courses too, but my reason was it was a tribal thing. It was like just being part of, this group of women and they were all
yeah.
doing the same, and you get this person's course and then you all go get this person's course and then you all go get this person's course. And so you're
Okay,
in like
that's
you're
different.
in the group. Yeah, it was different
Oh,
but it was the same sort of outcome because I was in all these courses and I wasn't ever working my business. I was just like part of this tribe and I had to see that and see where it started, like junior high school, of like wanting to be part of the cool girls and all that stuff. And I was still doing it. I was still like my inner child was still trying to be part of the cool girls. And so now I see it and I'm like, okay. So it's so funny. I'm in a course now and they have a Slack channel and they're like, this is where the community is. You have to come join. And I cannot get myself to join that Slack channel. I've cured my need to be part of the tribe. Like now I don't. They're like, you have to come meet everybody. I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't need to meet anyone. Like I have my own friends. Thank you. Like
that's so
so
funny.
crazy.
That's
Yeah.
so funny. So I have another question. I have clients who have an investment or savings limit, and then T. Harv Eker calls it a financial thermostat. We talked about this last time a little bit,
Yeah.
but they'll save up to a certain point and then they'll spend it all, right?
Mm-hmm.
500, 5,000, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have for people who hit savings goals, but then they spend it all? And this is very common. I've seen it so many times,
Yeah.
so many different people.
Yeah. So with my people, I'm trying to get them to hit a limit. So we start with the limit, a threshold. We call it the new zero. And then, I haven't had people like save up to their limit and spend it. I'm just focused on them like saving to that limit and the temptation to spend below that limit. Like I have them like when we meet on each week, like what were the thoughts that happened? So the number can be whatever that person's comfortable with. It could be $10, it could be $50, it could be $500. For one lady, it was
Right.
like $5,000. She was going on a like a conference or something, retreat or whatever. And I was like, okay, how much money do you want to say I'm not gonna spend below this number? And she said $5,000. I was like, okay, but whatever. But whenever she was tempted to dip into it, she had to tell me what her thought was that was making her get tempted. And that reveals a lot because that tells you what's in your head. And another tool of the diva comes out when you do that, because a lot of times people will be like, oh, it's not that much. Oh, it's just a little bit. Oh, this isn't a big deal. Like, oh, this isn't gonna matter. And that little bit matters, right? Which is the opposite of the other little bit. Because when they want to do things a little bit at a time, their mind goes, no, 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 it's all or nothing. But then when they want to not do something, it's like, oh, it's just a little bit. It's just a little bit more. Right. And so we were able to see that. And then we were able to talk about, well, if you want to save up to this number, it's a little bit at a time that does it. So why is it dipping into as important when it's just a little bit and a little bit of carving it away? Right. And so these things don't change overnight, but with more awareness and conversation, they're able to see that, like, okay, this actually does matter. So that's what we do. We set a new zero, and then we talk about what happens when you're tempted to dip down, or if you do dip down, because I don't, it's fine. You spend the whole thing, just you got to tell me why. And then if you're able to master that, then we raise it a little bit more. So maybe that's the difference, is that we just baby step it up a little bit more each time. And then we kind of, blast away those doubts and fears as we go.
I see. Okay. And new zero meaning when you hit 5,000, pretend it's zero, right? Because I remember
Yes.
the first time I talked to you, I didn't know what
Mhm.
new zero meant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
that's
to me,
new
it meant new
zero.
zero means you spent it all. Now you're at zero again.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
you mean pretend the
That's the old
5,000 was zero.
zero. That's the old
Yeah.
zero.
So
The real
I was like,
zero.
yeah, I got it. I got it now. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to share with our viewers to help them with their spending?
I would just say start now, start today. Don't be afraid. Yeah, you gotta start somewhere.
Start
Um,
what? Start saving or start looking at your money or both?
it's- I would say because I wouldn't say start saving because that'll put you in that loop of like I did all this massive action, then I left it. But I would say the first thing is to just get organized and clear. And if you need help with that, of course, we can all help you. But it's like if you're not organized and clear, it won't matter what you do because it'll still be filling in your mind. It'll feel like gobbledygook. So yeah, get organized, get clear if you want to do that on paper, on a spreadsheet, whatever it is. But do that. But you have to do it outside of yourself because so many people are like, it's in my head. I'm like, no, it's not. It's
Oh,
not.
so outside of yourself, meaning put it on paper or put
Put it
it
on
in a
paper,
spreadsheet,
put it in a
or it has
spreadsheet.
to be
No,
something not in your head. Okay,
not
got
in
it.
your head. That is not what your brain is for. No.
Right. Yeah, too much math. Yeah, no way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so how to find you on Instagram, 1 million spenders, right?
1 million spenders.
And you
Yes.
said
And
somewhere else.
1millionspenders.com. That's
Okay, thank you. And a website.
like pulling
One,
teeth.
I know, gosh, it's like I'm trying to help people find you. And it's like, I need something specific. Yeah.
I'm here.
1millionspenders.com
Uh-huh.
and 1 million spenders on Instagram and
Yes.
take her spending quiz. Was it a quiz?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, spending quiz. And then she will reach out to you after you take the spending quiz to talk about your results.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you can talk to her if you'd like to talk to her.
Yep.
And she's very nice. She's fun to talk to. So,
Yeah, it's fun.
right.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on today.
Thank
And
you.
maybe we'll talk again another day. We'll see. But it was so
Yeah.
fun. I learned so
So
much.
fun. Thank you. Thank you. Bye, Alicia.
Bye.
Bye.